Hello drama lovers, welcome back to my channel. Breaking news. What if the two men who shook the world with the Untamed shared a moment so intimate, so quiet, and so impossibly tender, that even the snow-covered Alps seemed to hold its breath tonight? We reveal the secret year-end holiday of Xiao Zhan Wang Yibo, a quiet escape that fans were never meant to discover. No one expected it. No rumors hinted at it. And for an entire year, their schedules pulled them into opposite universes, Xiao Zhan rising like a comet across C-drama charts, and Wang Yibo conquering films, racing circuits, and global endorsements. Everything about their lives pointed toward distance, noise, and relentless public attention. But on the final week of December, when snow fell thick across Europe and the entertainment world slowed down for the holidays, something happened that no one saw coming. Something beautifully human. Something quietly emotional. Behind the scenes, far away from stages and cameras, Xiao Zhan booked a flight under an alias he had used for years, known only to a handful of trusted staff. Wang Yibo did the same. Their destinations were identical. Their arrival times, only 2 hours apart. Their meeting point, a hidden alpine village perched between Austria and Switzerland, a place known not for luxury but for silence, deep, healing silence. The kind of place where snowflakes fall so softly they feel like secrets landing on your skin. Locals later described seeing two polite young men with masks and winter coats, checking into a small wooden chalet overlooking a frozen lake. They carried minimal luggage. No designer tags. No entourage. Just two travelers who looked like they were desperately in need of rest. Inside the chalet, the fire cracked slowly. Warm amber light filled the room. For the first time in months, maybe years, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo breathed without pressure. Fans always imagined their chemistry as electric, dramatic, larger than life. But here, in this quiet haven, it was the opposite. Theirs was a calm warmth, like an unspoken understanding that didn't need to be filmed or performed. One evening, as soft snow began to fall, they walked along the frozen lakeside path. Wang Yibo, ever the minimalist in emotions, broke the silence first. "You disappeared," he said quietly, though there was no accusation in his voice, only honesty. Xiao Zhan smiled, the kind of smile that hides exhaustion. "You were busy too." "Not too busy," Yibo replied, kicking lightly at the snow. "I just didn't want to pull you into more noise." That sentence stayed in the air for a long time. And somehow, it was enough. Back at the chalet, they cooked simple food, ramen, eggs, and instant broth, laughing at their terrible attempts to plate anything aesthetically. They spent evenings watching old dramas, flipping through photos from the Untamed days, reminiscing about things fans had never heard about, late-night rehearsals, inside jokes, how they comforted each other after difficult scenes. The deeper the night went, the easier it became for them to talk about what had changed. And what hadn't. The world had always painted them in extremes: rivals, brothers, strangers, legends. But during these winter nights, the labels melted away. What remained were two men who had once survived the same storm, created the same phenomenon, and carried the same weight on their shoulders. And in the silence of the Alps, when the world finally stopped demanding pieces of them, they remembered how to simply exist side by side. But this peaceful escape didn't stay peaceful for long. Because a single moment, small, innocent, but impossible to ignore, would later become the emotional core of their holiday together. And that moment happened on the fourth night. But before we get there, you need to understand what led up to it. The fourth night began with a snowfall so heavy it muted the entire village. Windows frosted over. The wind brushed softly against the roof. And inside the chalet, Xiao Zhan sat by the fireplace, sketching quietly in his notebook, a habit he returned to whenever the world felt overwhelming. Across the room, Wang Yibo tuned an old acoustic guitar he found near the bookshelf. The sound was soft, imperfect, but warm enough to fill the space without disturbing it. For a long while, they stayed like that, two creative souls lost in their own worlds, yet somehow sharing the same quiet rhythm. Then, unexpectedly, Yibo spoke. "You were hurting," he said without looking up. "Last year. I could see it." Xiao Zhan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he drew one more line, closed the sketchbook gently, and looked toward him. "Everyone hurts," he replied. "Not like that." His voice was steady, but there was something fragile at the edges. Xiao Zhan exhaled slowly, as if debating whether to finally speak about the things he had buried. But before he could find the words, Wang Yibo strummed the chords of a familiar melody, soft, nostalgic, unmistakable. It was a variation of a theme from the Untamed soundtrack. Slower, sadder, more intimate. Xiao Zhan froze. "You remember that?" he whispered. Yibo shrugged lightly. "You hummed it every time you were stressed." "I didn't forget." There it was, something so simple, yet so emotionally heavy that the silence after it felt almost sacred. Xiao Zhan gave a small laugh, the kind that breaks before it fully forms. "You always notice the things I tried to hide." "Someone had to," Yibo replied. For a moment, neither of them moved. The fire crackled softly. Snow tapped gently against the window. And under the warm amber glow, Xiao Zhan finally allowed the mask he'd been carrying for too long to slip. "Thank you," he said, not as a celebrity, not as a phenomenon, but as a person who had finally been seen. Yibo didn't respond with words. Instead, he shifted the melody into something brighter, hopeful, like dawn breaking over mountains. Then he looked up, their eyes meeting, and he smiled in that tiny, rare way he reserved only for people who truly mattered. That smile carried more comfort than 100 conversations. Gradually, the heaviness in the room softened, replaced by a quiet warmth neither of them tried to explain. They didn't need to. Hours later, they stepped outside to see the village covered in fresh snow, untouched, shimmering under moonlight.